doesn't. So.
Hi, Judy.
Okay, it started.
You're sitting there awful quiet. What'd you do?
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Everyone to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have to make notes, but let's see if we can get through this. This is the 2025 Salary Commission meeting being held on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. This meeting conducted under Missouri Revised Statute RSMO 50.333 and held prior to the deadline of November 30th. The notice of this meeting was published in the News Tribune on Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. I now ask for a motion for nominations for the chairman of the Salary Commission.
I make a motion that Larry Vincent be appointed chairman.
Second.
Yeah, all right. Make sure I get it back, because I like that pen.
So we have a motion for Larry Vincent, and we have a second. Who seconded?
I think everybody did.
Okay. Okay. I need a motion to cease with nominations.
So.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor of Larry Vincent being the chairman of the Salary Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Chairman, please take over the meeting.
Thanks.
I just read my notes and looked at it.
I appreciate that vote. If nobody else wants to do it, so give it to Larry.
No, yes, we just appreciate your intelligence and, nah,
I've never heard that before.
sounds good.
County clerk report on financial condition of the county.
I'll defer that to Mr. Moore since he's the professional. Good to see you.
There's others up here, extras up here, if anyone wants it. Okay, I don't need it, I got it. So the top page is the similar reports that have been made in the past. Then I've added a summary of the 2025 budget by funds and then by the department. So anyone that has been listening in on today's commission meeting, some of the discussions, we're set with cash right now in a good position, but going forward, some of the concerns for setting the 26 budget is our sales tax are flattening out. ARPA funds, they've basically all been paid out with no more ARPA funds coming in. Marijuana sales tax are no longer being received. We have capital improvements needs greater than our funding sources, and our health insurance budget-wise is expected to grow at 20%. I will be proposing a 2% cost of living in the budget in the next 2 weeks. This includes no merit increases other than those promotions through career ladder step increases. And we're waiting on the salary study to see what it brings back as to what pay adjustments, if any, should be made going forward.
The salary study, though, is for 2026, correct? It's not, it won't be for 2025?
When we receive it, then we would decide. I mean, we could always, if it comes back and says there needs to be salary increases and the commission approves, if funding's available, we can always make mid-year salary adjustments at that point in time.
No, I thought when they were talking about it, they were saying that this was for 2026.
That was the anticipation, that it would be implemented in 26.
This may not be the place to ask another budget question. Can I real quick? CPI is at 3%. Is there a reason that we would go with something so much lower than what inflation is doing to everybody's wallets?
It's the other thing that you could look at as well is Social Security increases, they're looking at 2.8% increase. It just comes down to the funding that I think we have available.
I know.
And then given the potential for the salary study. Is 2%, who knows where 2% will be with the CPI in next year, but yes, 2% is less than the current CPI index.
Any other questions for Jay? If not, thank you very much. Discussion on elected official salaries. Who'd like to start? Ralph?
So I wanted to take this venue to kind of share with everybody my concern on how I see the evolving role of public administrator. And I've been doing this for 5.5 years, and I got 3 more years to go. I'm totally fine with my current salary, but I am extremely concerned about the succession process and who would take my place, because I've worked really hard to develop a legacy of professionalism and advocacy for our clients, and it's a 24/7 job. And when I say it's evolving, just by default it's evolving because our county population is getting older. The caregivers in our community are getting older. They are getting to the point where they cannot provide for their family members or other members in the community. And then the other part of it is the mental health situation that continues to evolve. And it used to be in the state of Missouri, the Department of Mental Health and other state agencies would provide a lot of support to each county to help them deal with the mental health situations going on. Several years ago, they decided that they were going to back away and allow these individuals who are in institutions or whatever to be what is called community-based. That's a code word for county-based. Currently, I have about 186 clients spread out in 19 different counties around the state, and it's not going to get any better. And it seems like to me that our ability as public administrators to provide the services and the shelter and the housing that people with mental illness needs is becoming more of a challenge. And I'll give you a good example. I've got a male client who is currently in a behavioral health unit in Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis. That's the psych ward. He's only 32 years old, but he's got severe mental health issues. He's got a criminal record in Boone County, St. Louis County, St. Francis County, and Greene County, and it all goes back to his mental illness. I cannot, for the life of me, get him committed to Fulton or to the other mental health institutions in Farmington, Missouri. I don't know what it's going to take, but he cannot stay there forever. And more I'm running into this situation, and there's not a week goes by that I don't get a call from somebody in the community. It might be somebody I know, it might be an acquaintance, it might be nobody I know, but they're calling in anguish, in despair, because they need help in providing care for their loved ones, and they don't know how to do it. They don't have the capabilities. And when you couple that with the increasing homeless situation I get involved in, it becomes almost an impossible job. And I say that not only because as a Cole County But when I go around the state to these other 19 counties, and when I talk to the other public administrators in the central Missouri region for public administrators, they are running into the same thing. And so my worst fear is when I do retire, is that the county will produce somebody who's willing to have the fortitude, the strength, and the mental acuity that is required to do this job properly. And so I think I will be for an increase simply because in the future, more and more is going to be required of the public administrator. Not just me, whoever succeeds me. And it's going to be so important that this county has a public administrator who is on the job 24/7 to do it. And the last thing I wanted to mention, in the November elections in 2024, out of the 115 counties, there were over 20 counties who could not find anybody to run for public administrator due to the nature of the work and the low pay. And again, I'm not complaining about my current situation. I'm totally fine with it. But my question is, what happens when I leave the scene? And that's what I'm concerned about. And so I'm trying to give you all good, practical reasons why I support a tax increase, or not tax increase, but an increase for public officials. And from what I understand, Larry, you sent out an email. How many years has it been since a public official got a raise?
A salary increase, there hasn't been one, well, there hasn't been one voted by the Salary Commission in the 18 years I've been here. In 2017, it was found that we weren't following, Cole County wasn't following state statutes from when we became a first-class county, and everybody got an increase at that time, but that was based on what it should have been. But actually in 2004 or whenever it was, that Cole County and Cape County became first-class counties at the same time, and in there it said that salaries would be equalized and follow the assessed valuation.
Okay.
But as a salary commission, we have never approved a salary increase.
There was a huge payout in 2017, though. That was a lot of money. There was a
Well,
huge
people got
back
paid
pay
for back pay.
payout. Right, but I'm just saying it was a large amount.
But it didn't increase our base salary that much. There was a large payout.
Some of those payouts came because the three commissioners and the treasurer traditionally, because of the lighter workload or work hours that they needed to be here, had been paid for decades, I think.
Perceived work hours.
What's that?
Perceived work hours. You said the work hours are required.
Ding, ding time, okay.
Being here.
Let me just make my point.
I'm just making my point.
I see the floor too. I've been coming to these since 1997, and there's been no raise other than COLAs for the officials. And yet I've seen the sheriff office and the prosecutor's office, because of the importance of their jobs, get noticeably, and I think deservedly, higher salaries, and they've gone their own direction in terms of funding and how that's the methodology used. Meanwhile, the rest of the elected officials, and I think the public administrator just said, the responsibilities of these jobs is worth taking into consideration. We do that with our own employees in our own offices, those jobs that require more, we demand more. Not necessarily in my office, since I have just one, but I know there's other offices where those people have been remunerated through the years in excess of COLAs. This group has been excluded from that after salary commission meeting after salary commission meeting. And the further we get behind, the less likely we are to attract the kind of candidates that I think the county deserves, the county government deserves, and the county citizens deserve. If you think of the importance and the intricacy of some of the work that the collector does and the assessor does, the idea that you have to have somebody that is incredibly transparent and honest handling all the money of the county treasurer and votes. I mean, you can go through every office, and the idea that we don't talk about that, and instead we get snarky remarks at meetings like this instead of treating it seriously like it should be. Hopefully this year will be different.
I don't know, do I need to cede the floor to talk as chairman, or? Okay.
I will comment a little. I knew the salary that I was coming into, which I was okay and fine with. Going forward, when you look around this room, hopefully I don't offend anyone, but most of us are on the backside of our career, and is that because of salary levels? I don't know. Is this just something, when I was asked if I would consider my position, I said, yeah, this to me will be one final challenge of my career. Would I have sought it out? I don't know. You know, is it because of the salary levels? I don't know, but I knew what I was getting into.
Well, and I think one thing to point out is as in you have retirement income from the state. So that plus a decent salary is quite a bit. I don't have retirement income. I don't know that, I mean, Steve's got what he's got from when he sold his business. Eric doesn't. Do you have retirement income from the state? I mean, no. So some people have a full-time job. It's not, gee, I got a retirement income and this, so I have a really good salary. But that all in all, that's beside the point. As in the past discussions we've had, Cole County as a first-class county, last time I checked, we were like third from the bottom in salaries for elected officials. Cape, our most closest county to us, size-wise, and everything else, I think 5 years ago, they upped their salaries into the 80s. And now it's more than that. They continue to increase theirs. We haven't. We've taken the COLAs, but that's all we've done. 2 years ago, we proposed following the assessed valuation schedule, had it continued on up. So there's two things I'd like to talk about today, and that's, again, following that schedule. If you went by our current assessed valuation, which is $1.4 billion something, I believe, that would raise us. The max at the time was $1.35 billion. That would be a $4,000 increase if it was based on the assessed value as of today. When I read the statutes about salaries, it talks about it's got to be a percentage. Everybody's got to be a same percentage, not a dollar amount. And I'm not sure which one of those actually applies in this case, but percentage-wise, it would be about 5%. The $4,000 increase, or the 5%, comes up to about $3,800. For one thing, there's only 10 of us that are affected by this, and only 5 at one time. So we're only talking about a hit, if it was 5 of us, to the county budget in 2027 of $20,000. That's, in my mind, compared to the county budget as a whole, a very insignificant amount. And then in 2029, the other 20,000 would come on, so it'd be 40,000 plus whatever other expenses go along with that. Even if it was 50%, that'd be another $20,000. You're only talking $60,000 a year. So it's not a significant amount when we talk about the county's budget. To deny something that really is probably long overdue. I've never voted in favor of a salary increase before, but I'm like Ralph, and hopefully a majority of us here are willing to see that. When I got appointed to this position by the governor, I'm like Jay was. I knew what it paid. It wasn't a big deal. But hell, after 18 years, you'd think you'd get a raise. That's only reasonable to think that. And outside of the COLA, there have been no raises. I think and last year we fought, the elected officials fought to get our employees 5% increases. And I think it's only fair that we fight this year for ourselves to get that 5% increase. It certainly isn't going to be devastating to the county by any means. I can tell you if out of my tax maintenance fund, $60,000 being turned over to the county each year is probably easily attainable. Because all the big expenditures I've had, but putting in bulletproof glass and new computers and all that is not going to add up to the $150,000 I spend a year right now out of the tax maintenance fund. So anything over half of my budget, I have to turn over to the county commission. So I think that alone would pay for any salary increases. But that's the commission's decision on how they spend that money. So I would hope that somebody, I don't think as chairman I should make the motion, but I would hope that somebody would move that we either do the $4,000 or the 5%, whichever is allowed by statute. We'll have to do some research on that to be sure what is correct.
Larry, can I ask a question? If we're all in favor of the cost of living adjustment, does that have to be approved by this, or is that automatic?
I don't know if it's automatic. We have always voted to approve it.
Okay.
We have always taken the cost of living. The statutes say that the statutes say if county employees get a cost of living increase, the elected officials can get it also.
Okay. So should we at least move on that outside of any other increase?
No, I think we ought to decide if we're going to do an increase first.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's what the majority of us are here for. I know you all as newly elected officials don't place that much emphasis on that, but I think the rest of us would like to see us make a decision on the salary increase.
I think putting it in perspective a little, still even clearer perspective is that if there is a raise beyond the COLA today, approximately, if I've got it right, half of us would be eligible for that 5% or the amount that you mentioned. In 2027, when that group takes office after the elections for 2026, the other half of us would not get any addition that's approved today, if it gets approved, until the following election cycle. And those newly elected officials, some may be here now, some may be new, it doesn't take effect until January 2029. And here we are in 2025 talking about a mere 5%. In 2027 to be spread further over half of us in 2029. I mean, this is not like a pay raise that we might have affected in January of 2026. No, January 2027, half of us, the other half January 2029, if I've got my dates right. It doesn't minimize the impact it might have on the budget, but if you look at it, not in the weeds, but further back and realize these groups, these salary commissions have done nothing other than the aberration. You mentioned with a law firm that decided we should be paid according to statute. Other than that, there's been no pay increases going back to the 90s. My first meeting was in 1997, and I got to listen to Jim LePage and Prosecutor Callahan argue about pay raises back then. They were having the same argument in 1997 as we're having now. And I can remember Don, the public administrator years ago, was it Don Larkin?
Don Rourke.
Don Roark. I can remember him talking about the load of his office and the demand being made on his office. And they were approaching, I think, 95, something like that. So he was right, and you're right. It's going to continue to put more demand on offices. Anyway, it's a big window here. It's not something for 2026.
So would someone like to make a motion to vote on a $4,000 or 5%, whichever statute allows?
I would make a motion that the elected officials for Cole County be given a 5% pay increase.
Is there a second to that motion? I'll second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak.
Yes, sir.
With respect to Ralph's concern, it's a valid concern, but it could be addressed a year from now with the same result for that office because of the timing. You're worried about the next public administrator, not the current. And the next one could get an increase based upon the salary commission meeting 2 years from now, I think. All right. Larry, you mentioned 30,000, 60,000, but it's always more than that because elected officials are benefited employees. They qualify for 2 retirements, SERF, County Employee Retirement Fund, and for loggers, the local governmental employee retirement system. That's an add-on based upon the salaries that they're paid. You know, excellent medical coverage for the cost at the county. And I don't know anybody that has a more flexible schedule than a county elected official in terms of, I have to do this today and I can't be in the office or whatever. I think that by and large, county elected officials, we separate the sheriff and the prosecutor only because the General Assembly has addressed their salary differently. So outside of those 2, I think county officials are fairly compensated for their performance because I don't think their performance is full-time in many cases. And I'm going to vote against the motion.
Larry, I've got some questions being somewhat new. The timing of this bothers me versus the position I'm taking on budget recommendations of no merit increases, things of that nature. Could the salary commission call a special session 6 months from now to address this again for those that would be elected and take office for 27?
No.
I don't think the statute allows you to do that.
Okay.
It has to be done, first off, it has to be done between whatever and December 15th. So that, and it's typically odd number of years, is that correct?
Yeah. It has to be. Must be.
Yeah, it must be an odd number of years, so. I don't, you know, I have a lot of respect for everybody here. But again, I look back to being here 18 years and never having gotten a raise, and I think and we probably should have done it sooner. We just never had the wherewithal to do it. And I don't know that I ever looked at how little it actually cost. Harry, I'm giving you 50%. If it's $20,000 in pay and it's another $10,000, that's 50% for benefits, and benefits are normally only about 35%. So 30,000 and then 60,000 is, to me, would more than cover that, because we don't get paid for vacation time or sick leave, or, you know, that doesn't cost the county anything. You have retirement and Social Security, and that's it. And that's typically, what, 8% for Social Security?
7.65.
7.65. I don't know what the percentage is on the retirement, but I doubt that it comes up to 50%.
It's in the 7.5% range, and you'd have to go on life insurance.
Larry, I don't think it's accurate for you to say that you haven't gotten a raise.
I've gotten a COLA. That's, to me, that's different than a raise.
The state stepped in and saw that you got a raise.
In 2017, I said that, Harry.
Okay, but
I
you
pointed
also
that
just
out.
said you hadn't gotten a raise since you've been here. You just said that.
This county has not given me a raise since I got here.
The state
They were
did,
forced to
but the
because of
county
state
has given
statute.
you a CPI raise every year for the
I
last
said
3
that.
years.
I agree. I understand. I'm not arguing that point with you.
Well, you just said you didn't get a raise since you've been here.
I didn't get a raise, what I would consider a raise. I've gotten COLAs, yes. And we got the increase in 2017 because state statutes required that.
Right.
This county has never voted for a raise for its elected officials since I've been here.
Harry, why don't you make that argument when employees come before you and they want additional money besides the COLA? You don't make that argument with them, but you're making it to your county collector right here.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
Never mind.
He's just trying to point out that you give COLAs and raises to county employees, but you don't think county elected officials are worthy of a raise.
Well, in many cases, they're not, and you know, for instance, you know, the sheriff, we did quite a bit for the sheriff because he was 11 or 12 staff members down. We're going to have an election next year. We've already had 2 people say, at least 2, they would like to have Steve's job. We know 1, maybe 2 want to have Sam's job. It's not like we're going to have to shake the bushes to fill these positions. Now, maybe you could argue we're going to end up with unqualified people, but that's going to be the voters' fault if we do. I knew what I shouldn't say this. I knew what I was going to get paid when I ran for this job. I didn't know what I was getting into. But since I ran for re-election, I can't, you know, say it hasn't been rewarding, and I'm glad I did it twice. But I feel I've been fairly compensated, and I feel others have been fairly compensated. Others have been overcompensated for their lack of hours given to the job.
Let me say one more thing about what the argument that Larry's making, I think, and really the argument that Ralph is making. No, let me just put it from my point of view, which is I don't include myself in the group that wants or needs or deserves additional pay. What I will say is I have seen Larry grow in his job. I have seen the commitment in Ralph And I have seen Judy go from an employee in the office to run the office as well as it's been run going back decades. And I know there's other people in the room I'm leaving out. But the idea that these people are undeserving of anything other than a COLA is not the same concept that we apply to our own employees. Those that stay longer and do better and grow in their experience and offer more, we reward them. That's the American way. And the idea that this batch of elected officials, because we're elected officials, and because some of us may work fewer hours, right? Some of us may not have the responsibility other officers do. That means those that really work as hard as any other employees in the county are undeserving. I'll have to say, since coming to these meetings since 1997, I have never understood. Oftentimes, a pay raise is a pat on the back. We want you to stay with the county. We want you to run for another term. That's what a meritocracy is. And that's why I think it makes sense to finally give something as a COLA to the elected officials. If we were just if we were ranked county employees right now, you all would have no problem with that concept. But because we're elected officials, we somehow treat each other and the methodology we use differently, which I think is misplaced.
Unfortunately, the system is set up where, and I don't say this demeaning to anybody, but it's set up where either everybody gets a raise or nobody gets a raise. And I understand what you're saying, Harry, and I voted no for several years at these meetings because of that. Mainly because of one individual I didn't think was deserving. But there's no option. I wish there was.
And I've shared the dollar amount, the percent you all are talking to propose, I don't think is out of line. Given that I'm newer in the position I'm taking on the budget recommendation because of the salary study and not moving forward, I'll be voting no. But I see your point. I see others' points. I have not been here a long time. The dollar amount is not the concern. It's going against the position I'm taking on a budget recommendation. If the timing were different, if the salary study were out, I may be in a different position than I think I'm going to vote on at this stage.
Maybe we can be included in the salary study.
Well, I can tell you, Mac did a salary study of all elected officials 2 years ago. And had they proposed legislation, we would all be getting increases based on what if the legislature would pass what they recommended. That is not the case. It didn't move forward, and I'm not sure it will. So, especially with all the other things that are affecting county property taxes right now. So if there's no further discussion, I feel you're ready to vote.
Ready?
Ready? You can do a roll call?
Sure. Ralph Jobe,
Yes.
Sheriff Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner Bushman,
No.
Assessor Theroff,
No.
Larry Vincent,
Yes.
Locke Thompson,
Yes.
Judy Ridgway,
Yes.
Eric Peters,
Yes.
Jeff Helsher,
No.
Jay Moore,
No.
Steve Korsmeyer,
Yes.
Harry Otto.
No.
The yeses have it. Looks like 5 to 7.
Make a motion that we also obtain the same COLA increase that the county employees receive due the county budget when it's approved.
Second. Been moved and seconded to take the COLA also. Is there any discussion on that?
Is this voted for every time? Is the COLA voted for?
It has been, yes.
It's not automatically.
I don't know, I'd have to look at the statute. Statute says that we have to vote, okay.
It can't be more than what the rest of the employees get. It has to be the same.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Thank you.
Roll
Do
call?
individual again? Okay. Jeff Helsher.
Yes.
Tim Theroff.
Yes.
Larry Vincent.
Yes.
Bob Thompson.
Yes.
Judy Ridgway. Eric Peters.
Yes.
Sam Bushman. Steve Korsmeyer.
Yes.
Larry Otto.
No.
John Wheeler.
Yes.
Ralph Choate.
Yes.
And Jay Moore.
No.
Okay. 2 noes. The rest are yeses, so yeses have it.
Is there any other business to come before us? If not, I want to thank everybody for their participation and congeniality.
I guess I've got a question. What am I to build into the budget? Because
Well, zero for the first.
till the okay, because there's no impact till
This year.
27. Gotcha.
Correct,
yeah.
And then we'll have to decide what, because
COLA.
right, the COLA, I've got that, but the other was, it was a percent or a dollar amount.
Well,
It was a
the motion was for
5%.
5%.
Okay, okay.
And whenever we get around to that, I need to get with you on that because mine needs to be that I get $3,000 paid by the city. That doesn't count towards what my increase would be. Mine would be the same as all the
for it.
Or the health insurance.
We helped him this year. Does that get shared?
He didn't help me do the billing for Jeff City. And the collection, and the lead.
I heard that too.
Larry, has it always been 3?
Yes, for first-class counties.
Okay,
There's
I
some-
just wondered if you had a raise in there anywhere.
No,
City's never given you a raise after all these years?
I've gotten the county a raise.
Well, wait a
We used
minute,
to
you
charge-
said now you've gotten a county raise?
The county general fund gets more money.
Hey, wear them down. We've still got stuff on the agenda to talk about.
Motion to adjourn?
Come on, we're trying to wear them out.
Motion to adjourn, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey,
Thank you.
I'm just teasing. You can put it all unanimous there. I know you're gonna stab me with your pen here in a second. That's a black guy. Well,
History of the salary commission, they never voted.
thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
So we're gonna turn this off and then start again.
I think so.